And we'll continue on to our next step, which is the financial information. Depending on your configurations, you may or may not have your household numbers defaulting based on the people that you've entered on the case so far. We have it set in our demo site here to default. So we've got our client and our one family member that we've entered. We can also manually update this. So if we haven't entered additional children, we could update that number. And then we have, of course, our income entry section. The first drop down here is going to be who we want to designate this income to. So, of course, in our test case here, we've got our client test and their spouse Miss Test. So if she had some income that we wanted to record, we could change this to her. We then have our income source drop down. Your list might look a little bit different from this one, but essentially this is going to be all of our different types of income that we could have. Next, we have our frequency. So is the applicant telling us their income amount in weekly terms, monthly terms, annual? We'll say monthly here. And then, of course, our amount. Now, once I actually enter the amount, you'll notice that my income total section here updates based on the numbers that I've entered. So we can see the family size is being taken into account, as well as, of course, the income that I've entered. You'll also notice the percentage of poverty at 24.69% is green. Now, as I add additional income, if we go past 125%, which is what our setting on this demo site is for eligibility, we'll notice that turn red. I'm going to go ahead and add another income by clicking on my green arrow here. We'll leave this one attributed to our client test. We'll say that he gets employment as well. Also quoted in monthly. We'll see our percentage of poverty jumped up, but not quite to our threshold there. I'm going to add one more type of income. And for this one, I also want to show you the calculator we have over here to the right of the amount. What this will do is it actually allows you to type this in based on hours per week and hourly rate, and it will calculate that for you. So let's say 40 hours per week at $10 per hour. And we have to set that amount first, apologies. So then it will show us $400 weekly, of course. Now, once I've entered that, you'll also notice the percentage of poverty went above 125, so it has turned red. And our last two options for our income entries for each row are the exclude checkbox, which again, you may or may not have based on configuration. If I exclude this last form of income, you'll notice that it gets taken out of the percentage of poverty calculation. So we're back under our 125. And then lastly, of course, we just have a note box here. So if you're not using the first column there to attribute the income to a particular person, this is where you could write in things like this, their spouse's income, etc. We'll see that our income eligible is back to yes, since we went under that pop. And again, you may or may not have an override button here. If you do, it will allow you to override the income that's automatically calculated, and it will have you pick a reason for that. And your reasons, again, could be a little bit different from this, but these are good examples here. Now, our next question is probably going to be familiar to LSC programs. It has a little bit of what we call branch logic behind it. So if I say yes, I'm going to get another note box here. But if I say no, I don't get anything extra. And then we also have our assets all the way at the bottom here. Again, your program may or may not enter assets with the block. But if we do, it works pretty similarly to the income entry, where again, we can enter an amount, and we have our green plus sign over here to enter additional. And at some point, we would get up to over our asset limits, and we can see the total assets at the top calculated, and our asset eligible flip to no, and of course, change to red. We also have the override associated to assets, which again is essentially the same thing here. We've got our reason, which in our demo site, we don't have any option. And then we have a required note as well. We've got a separate financial note box. And then of course we have our intake box at the end here as well with those additional notes that we've entered so far.